Sales of vitamins that claim to boost your immune system are up, but can certain supplements help guard against COVID-19? Well, there is growing interest around vitamin D. It's nicknamed the sunshine supplement, but what role does this vitamin play in our body?
So vitamin D is called the sunshine vitamin, and that's because the major way we get it is from the action of sunlight on our skins.
Vitamin D is actually one of the essential hormones. It's a fat soluble vitamin like A, D, E, and K. But the vitamin D actually goes a little bit beyond.
It's primarily been thought to be important for bones and muscles. But for the last 10 or 15 years, it's also been known that vitamin D is important for functioning of the immune system.
Studies have shown that taking regular doses of vitamin D can help boost defences against infections like influenza. But can vitamin D protect against COVID? Well, the current evidence is conflicting, but that's because the data has only come from small studies. Some research has found that patients with vitamin D deficiency are more likely to test positive for the virus. Research has also found that good levels of vitamin D have been associated with a less severe COVID illness and a better survival rate, whilst other clinical studies couldn't find a cause and effect link between vitamin D levels and getting COVID-19.
We recently pulled data from 30,000 patients in 41 clinical trials done throughout the world. And we showed that vitamin D supplementation did have a modest but statistically significant protective effect against respiratory infections caused by viruses and bacteria other than COVID-19. However, the case that COVID-19 itself could be prevented by vitamin D is as yet unproven.
At the moment, it's not clear whether vitamin D deficiency is causing or reflecting individuals' increased susceptibility to COVID-19. More research is needed. But scientists are all agreed that being deficient in vitamin D isn't a good look.
Low vitamin D has been associated with increased conditions of obesity, metabolic syndrome, and so on and so forth. You definitely don't want to be deficient in it. I wouldn't say that it goes and prevents COVID, but it might help your generalized immune system to not make you more predisposed to the disease.
So should you be taking a vitamin D supplement?
We already do know that taking a low dose of vitamin D is good for your muscles and bones. The government recommends that, especially during this time of year, winter and spring, when sunshine isn't strong enough to make vitamin D in our skins, that we all take a supplement of 10 micrograms, 400 units of vitamin D per day to protect muscles and bones. Now, I think there's a fighting chance this might also help against COVID.
It's reported that 1 in 4 Brits are deficient in vitamin D, particularly those from black and ethnic minorities who have higher levels of melanin in the skin, which tends to reduce the creation of vitamin D from sunlight, and are a group who have been disproportionately affected by the virus. It's this link that led Labour MP Rupa Huck to join an unlikely union with the former Brexit Secretary David Davis to campaign for the government to review evidence into the benefits of vitamin D and consider a free supplement scheme to combat vitamin D deficiencies. And after a few meetings presenting evidence to Health Secretary Matt Hancock, who initially disregarded any link between vitamin D and COVID-19, at the end of November 2020, the government announced it would offer 4 months of free vitamin D supplements to all those in care homes and those shielding.
It's a massive step forward that the government is going to be prescribing 4 months free vitamin D supply to the most vulnerable people. But the thing is, people need to know about that, and I think it's hidden away on a gov.uk website that then takes you to an NHS website, and it's all conflicting information. I would like to see a proper advertising campaign.
Those who are most at risk from COVID have until the 21st of February to apply for the free supplements by visiting nhs.uk. The current NHS guidance for adults and children is to take 10 micrograms of vitamin D a day between October and March. But as lockdowns have reduced people's exposure to the sun, they say it's more important for people to take the daily supplements. Although the NHS does stress there is currently not enough evidence to support taking vitamin D to prevent or treat coronavirus. More large studies are needed. Adrian and his team are currently conducting a clinical trial looking at whether different doses of vitamin D might reduce the risk of getting COVID or reduce the severity of COVID. But he doesn't think you need to wait for his results before you start taking the supplement.
Take 10 micrograms or 400 units of vitamin D every day. We know this will benefit your bones and muscles, and there's a fighting chance that it could reduce risk of COVID too.